Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the SimNFL show. Real talk about fake sports. I am your host and commissioner. You can call me Pierce. Today we are covering a little more of the off-season action of the 2026 season of the Pro Sim over at SimSN. If you're unfamiliar, come check us out on the website and on Discord. We would love to have you. So just like last week, only a few bullet points, but a lot of detail still to cover. We're going to continue our trade review, as there are a couple of really big trades we want to talk about today. And then for the first time, we're going to talk about free agency. We have our first set of results, first players who have signed new deals with new teams. So we'll take a look at some of those details. And then our feature tonight is looking at the NFL Combine, whose results came out last week. So similar to what we did with Pro Days, we'll take a look at whose stocks are going up and down based on those public results. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first edition in what became a wide receiver arms race came with the Chargers getting Edwin Garcia from the Baltimore Ravens and sending a first and a fourth this year. So that's 25th overall, and then pick number 130 to the Ravens. So the Chargers getting more weapons for newly extended quarterback Aguilera. Baltimore shoring up some picks, including a first rounder this year. Taking a brief break from wide receivers to talk about David Sparacino, who Baltimore also moved. They sent Sparacino to Chicago, and they got Andres Garcia as well, along with Cesar Whitehead and a couple of picks in the upcoming draft, a second and a third rounder. Really like this pick for Baltimore. They get younger at defensive end. Garcia is 2 years younger and 12 points different in overall. So by the time he gets to Sparacino's age, he's under contract for 3 more years for a total of $12.5 million in salary. So they're going to get Garcia to the point where he should be about as good as Sparacino is now. And resetting that clock 2 years gets them a young defensive tackle in Whitehead and then 2 more picks in this current draft. So really like the move for Baltimore. Of course, Chicago as well, getting a high-end defensive end. Do love that pick for them as well, or that trade. Biggest news of this weekend was the Browns moving George Lovejoy to the Carolina Panthers for multiple firsts, as well as a fourth and receiver John Bensman. Lovejoy, clear wide receiver 1 for the Browns, but they get to reload a bit in this draft and next. They also moved on from James Rivera in the offseason, not renewing not extending him after his contract expired. So Browns offense is going to look very different in the coming years. But now they have multiple first rounders this year and next year, as well as an additional fourth in 2028 to help restructure and rebuild that offense in the years to come. In fact, Browns very much using the Panthers model of accumulating high draft picks as part of their kind of retooling of their offense. And then a final move for a wide receiver 1, Richard McGuire, 87 overall receiver for the Bears, moving to the Chargers. It looks like a great pick on paper for the Chargers, getting McGuire and moving up 12 spots in the first round. So going from Malero to McGuire and moving up 12 spots in the first round. They give up 2 second rounders this year and then a second rounder next year. So Chicago stockpiling picks, great move. But I think Chargers also getting a lot of great value in terms of what it costs for them to move up in the first round and get McGuire, another great weapon for Aguilera and the Chargers offense next year. So now we want to talk about free agency, and there were a number of big contracts that were signed in these first couple of days, and particularly with the new system moving toward daily syncs, we're going to be getting this news much more often and much quicker than we were in the past. So we'll go ahead and dive right in. Going alphabetically by team name, we have wide receiver Steven Labissiere, 72 overall, joining the Baltimore Ravens for $30 million over 3 years, about half of that in guaranteed money. You're going to see for a lot of these names, a lot of 26-year-olds. That means they are part of that very first draft class. So whether they were picks that are now moving on or UDFAs, you'll see a lot of those of players who are, after their entire rookie contract has expired, are getting into those low 70s and are starting to get some free agency offers. So in addition to Labissiere, Clinton Gregerson, defensive tackle, picked up by the Browns, paying him $36 million and change over 5 years, including 20 guaranteed. Gregerson is an improvement over their current defensive tackle, nose tackle, and 4 years younger. So a big improvement for them in the free agent market. Houston grabbing Steve Lucas in free agency, another 26-year-old, paying him just shy of $20 million a year over the next 4 years. So a pretty reasonable price for a guy who is breaking into that starter level and still has some years left to improve, hopefully. So we should see him getting a lot of snaps in the coming year. Rizal Miller for the Chargers, getting $30 million fully guaranteed over 5 years to come and play in LA. So 72 overall. That is a big, big payday. And we were seeing with Miller and guys like Jeremy Moreland in Miami, a big market emerging for young cornerbacks, which we will probably see continuing in the next couple of years with guys like this as the new benchmark. But the biggest free agency signing for this first week and maybe of the whole cycle is Michael Dyson going to the Saints. Dyson famously turned down 3 offers from the Cowboys, and absolutely looks like he made the right choice because the Saints signed him to a $70 million deal, including $45 million guaranteed. That $14 million average annual value matches David Cunningham for highest among edge rushers ever. So a huge deal for Dyson, and again, setting that bar high for premier edge rushers in the coming years. But Dyson, as a 78 overall, finishing his rookie deal, definitely among the stars from that first rookie class. The Jets were also busy in free agency. Patrick Viola and Willie Washington, both joining the team on 5-year deals for a total of about $65 million between the two of them, 50 of that guaranteed. Both of these positions are ones that can be pretty thin in the draft. Center also in free agency. So the Jets really feeling like, despite the nearly fully guaranteed 5-year deal for Washington, who's already 28, feeling like they got value out of that when there are not a lot of options available. Also, I forgot to say at the top of this, we're seeing also the effects of the blind bidding process with teams really going after guys they want, and starting off with those final offers. So instead of auction systems where we're building up, we're seeing which teams made minimum offers and which teams went way beyond that to ensure they got their guy. I think Washington's one example of many of that, and Dyson is as well. And finally, Tampa Bay adding some weapons to their offense. Anthony Stovall and Glenn Lloyd both signing 3-year deals. Stovall for $23 million, so just short of $8 million a year on average. Glenn Lloyd, $5.5 million average per year, $16.5 total, to come to Tampa Bay and help out that offense. Tight end, another position that can be really slim. So Tampa Bay making a big move to get their guy in free agency. So now that we have talked about where veteran players are going via trades and free agency, we're going to turn once again to rookies and look at combine performances. I've once again picked out 6 players that I want to highlight, both in terms of going up and down. For the stocks up, again, we're going to split that into established high-level A players and then some other players who the draft book was not as high on, but who really showed up in a big way in the combine. So to start off, we really focused on quarterbacks from pro days, and now it was Scott Romero's turn to impress. Perfect accuracy, throwing the ball, and then tied in the passing power exercise with some guy named Brandon Savage. Huge performance for Romero, making his push to be the QB1 in the upcoming draft. And we've seen a lot of QB needy teams moving up into those top kind of dozen picks. I think it's very possible we see multiple QBs, 2 or 3 going in those top dozen picks. It does feel like we say that every year and then it doesn't come to fruition, but maybe this is the year it actually does happen. But Romero really making a strong case to be one of those first names called. Harrison Rodriguez out of LSU. Great performance at the combine. Literally perfect 10 on the inside and the outside run. Can't do much better than that. And even if you're starting at A-, it's a way to really kick up your draft stock by doing absolutely everything. So great performance by him. And then Marcus Dade of Purdue, already an A+, but 9.24 on the inside running, tied for 6th at the combine. And then tying for first with Rodriguez with a perfect outside run drill. And then a 9.5 catching drill as well. And that's 4th among anyone who took catching drill. That's not 4th among running backs. That's 4th among everyone, including wide receivers. So great hands on Dade. Is going to be an effective 3-down weapon for whatever team picks him up in the draft. On the defensive side of the ball, and also in terms of some lesser-known names, at least according to the draft book, C+, Toledo defensive tackle Corey Smith came in top 5, both in pass rushing drills and in run-stop drills. I know in the pro day we talked about the 2 A- guys below Ryder not really showing up in their pro day, so I think that's left a lot of real estate in the draft book for guys like Corey Smith to step up and impress. Maryland's strong safety Vernon Mack listed as a B-, but had a perfect zone cover score as a strong safety. Also ran a 4.4 which is 4th among strong safeties. So great speed, great technique, coverability. Mack also had the 2nd best shuttle time among strong safeties, and he was only 2nd by 100th of a second. He had the best vertical, the best Wonderlic. So just truly a phenomenal combine for Mack, putting his name at the top of the safety list with those skills and that speed. Then finally, Georgia Tech's cornerback, the wonderfully named Tremon Magnifico, listed as a C-, but had an 8.11 man cover score, which was 3rd overall at the combine, and then tied for 3rd among cornerbacks with a 4.40. So again, just a guy that has done everything he possibly could do to boost his draft stock and going way up the draft board. I'm sure he's going to get a lot of look from scouts in the next couple of weeks as we approach draft day. On the other side of things, there were some names that really surprised and did not do themselves any favors. On the big name side, guard has been a really wild, going from pro day to combine. You had, I believe it was Cantor, who had a really tough pro day, but then showed up at combine. Mortensen looked great at pro day, and then came to the combine and missed the top 10 in run blocking entirely, and that's supposed to be his specialty, only a 6.71. We'll see what that does to his draft stock if teams are still going to take a look. I'm sure teams are still going to take a look. He's Taylor Mortensen, but not the performance you want when you're trying to get your name into the upper side of the first round and get the payday that comes with it. Similarly, Bowling Green's guard Benny Daniels listed as an A, 17th in run blocking, 12th in pass blocking. That's not going to do it if you want to be listed among the A+ and A's and you want to be drafted accordingly. And then Morgan Irving, Oklahoma State's free safety, listed as a B+. Came in 9th in zone coverage. Now he is a run stopper. Coverage isn't necessarily his specialty, but that's 9th out of 13 free safeties. So that's, top 10 if you look at it one way, but it's also bottom half if you look at it the other way. So not the most impressive performance from a guy who's gone up against a lot of A competition in terms of draft stock. And then some defenders to look at. Zach Lundblade, Baylor defensive end. Couldn't break the top 20 in either pass rush or run stop. Not a B+ performance. and could really, really hurt his draft stock in the coming weeks. Similarly, defensive tackle Daniel Sanchez out of ECU, listed as an A-minus, 13th in both metrics, both pass rush and run stop. Not the way to make your dreams come true, unfortunately, if you're listed as an A-minus and then pull that out of the combine. And then Utah State's linebacker Henry Gomez, listed as an A overall outside linebacker, which is basically like a unicorn in this sim, at least currently. Unfortunately, Gomez may turn out to be about as mythical. Last place in the pass rush drill, 7.5, and then 14th in run stop. Just really not a great performance from a guy who otherwise should be standing out as the best of a very limited number of options, but not with numbers like that. So again, could really see a tumble even with the positional scarcity due to this combine performance. But the draft is always exciting and always surprising. What do I know? Absolutely nothing. So we will see in a couple weeks what all this boils down to and where everyone ultimately lands. So next week we'll be back with another episode. We're going to continue covering trades and free agency moves and veterans going on to new teams. And then the big feature next week, we're going to release the NFL schedule. The weekly schedule for the NFL is done. It'll be released. We'll have a full grid up, and that includes primetime games, absolutely everything. We'll break it down, cover it all, show you everyone's schedule from week 1 to 18. So that'll be the big thing that we get to release next week. And we hope you'll stop by for that. But that is all for this episode of the SimNFL Show. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and listening. And as I say to all users in all of our sims, good luck and have fun.